Welcome to Confidently Visible, the podcast that helps you move through visibility blocks, including fear, resistance, and overwhelm to share life-changing work with the world and grow your business and attract more beautifully aligned clients that rave about your work. I'm your host, Beck Sands, a visibility mentor, a certified life coach, and an award-winning PR consultant based in sunny Newcastle, Australia. Let me guide you on how to show up as your unique self, to share your incredible work, and to grow your audience with more consistency, ease, and flow. Whether you are a consultant, an entrepreneur, a CEO, a coach, or a creative, this is the space to unlock your uniqueness, to grow your audience, and to make a bigger impact, all while feeling good about being seen. The world needs to hear your message. So let's get started. I'm interrupting this podcast episode to let you know that my signature 6-week course, The Online Consultant, is launching on Monday, the 22nd of September, and doors are closing Friday, the 19th. This will support you to establish and grow a freedom-based online coaching, consulting, or creative business using your existing skills. Come and join us. Find out more at becksands.com/the online consultant. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Confidently Visible podcast. It's so good to be here with you today. I'm going to be sharing with you how you can start to bring your unique stories into your visibility strategy to enable you to connect on a deeper level with your ideal audience, your ideal clients, and anyone that you want to support with the work that you do and through your visibility journey as well. So as humans, we all connect to stories and we all connect to humans, okay? Like there's a certain eloquence to learning strategies and to learning systems and to learning material. But the way that we make sense of the world is through stories and through that human connection. And so if we can start to interweave our own unique experiences and stories into our personal brands in order to outline and illustrate the points that we're trying to make, we're going to connect on such a deeper level, and people will also understand what we're trying to say on a much deeper level as well. But I think that there is a hesitance to share stories because we don't know how they're going to be taken. And we don't know how they're going to be perceived. However, there is a balance to be had there of sharing stories when you're building a personal brand in a way that is relevant and provides value to your audience, and also in a way that doesn't provide harm to yourself. So I'm all for sharing and connecting and, telling experiences, but I think there's also certain things that I personally haven't processed yet in my life, so I don't share outwardly. But there's also stories that I do share. So I know that I've processed that and I can share in a way that is going to be of value and to support other people. And I think that old kind of expression of sharing from scars rather than sharing from wounds, I think that's a really good way to illustrate that. So if you're sharing something just to vent, and a lot of people do that, let's be real, a lot of people do that on social media in today's world, and it always feels a little bit ick, right? Like that kind of when someone's sharing just purely to vent, it does feel a little bit ew. So how I approach it is I share experiences and stories in a way that hopefully provides value to my audience in some way, shape, or form, whether it's entirely relevant to what I'm teaching or if it's just kind of relevant to that human side of it. So, an example here is I have shared on this podcast before a little bit about my anxiety journey with medical PTSD and how that impacted my ability to show up and my ability to be visible, and that whole journey for me. And so I feel like that is something that I'd moved through and processed and come out the other side of and was able to share about in a way that could hopefully support other listeners or other viewers that are on their visibility journeys as well, and perhaps dealing with the same thing. Because we're all humans, right? We all have experiences. We all have lives. Like, we all come up against challenges. And so I think just to share the highlight reel isn't realistic. But also on the flip side of that, I see a lot of negativity in the media. I see a lot of negativity on social media. And I don't think that is overly useful as well, because there is a lot of fear mongering that happens in relation to so much news. Like, a lot of news is sensationalized, or it's just not balanced. There might be a lot of negative things happening in the world, but there's also a lot of really good stuff happening. And honestly, there really hasn't been a better time to be alive than today. We've got so many opportunities with the internet, with technology. There is so much good, and people are doing so much good as well. But often we only hear the really negative stuff, and we only hear the really negative stories. And so we can really switch off to that as well. So I think that there is a bit of a balance to be had in terms of sharing a balanced view while also still sharing that human side of it, and sharing stories in a way that hopefully will connect and provide value to your audience. And I think when you can share from that place of really giving back, of supporting others, of helping others, of using your stories to provide insight and to illustrate your points, I think that is really, really useful. And that is how people can kind of make sense of things, right? So I think when you're building your personal brand or increasing your visibility journey, when you're putting yourself out there and thinking about the stories that you're wanting to share, I always would recommend to my clients to approach it in a way that looks at and thinks about how can you be providing value to your audience, or connecting with your audience in some way so that they can see themselves in you, right? Because like I said, we all have those human experiences. So many people have faced the challenge of anxiety, and, mine was specifically related to medical PTSD, but it could be anything, and so many people reached out to me and said, yeah, like I really resonate with that journey, and that really impacted my ability to show up as well. And I think that's where you can really create that kind of connection by sharing your stories and sharing how that impacted you as well. So for those of you who are just tuning in and you might not have heard about my story, you can go back and listen to that episode. But I had a series of women's health issues over, I think, the period from 2021 through to 2024, so fairly recent. And it caused a lot of anxiety to the point where I really struggled to be able to even go to the GP. I couldn't even drive past a medical facility without going into panic, pretty much. And it really seeped into every area of my life. So it was warranted. Like, I was in emergency quite a few times. It's also since been resolved, but it really set me on edge, and it was something that really impacted a lot of areas of my life, including my ability to show up and be visible. At the time when I was experiencing it, I didn't talk about it because I didn't know how to. Like, I hadn't processed it yet. I didn't know even what I was going through until a year or two in, when I figured out what it was. And so for me to be able to talk about that and share that story publicly just wasn't a thing. So since then, since being able to process it, since getting that support, doing all the therapy, and really moving through that and getting that situation resolved, I've been able to come out the other side of that. And then I'm so happy to share my story in a way that will hopefully connect with and support other people. So that's just an example of using, your own personal experiences and stories to be able to be of value to others and to be able to support and connect with your audience. I think it's also really important to note that if your experience relates to other people, I don't think it's appropriate to say negative things about individual people or brands publicly. It depends. So, of course, you can have a little rant about an airline on social media if you're, stuck at an airport or something like that. I feel like we've all probably done that in some way, shape, or form. But saying something negative publicly about someone else, it really only reflects poorly on you and your brand. And so I think it's really important as well to keep in mind that when you're sharing stories and experiences, to just keep it, a little bit generic, not about individuals, or just about yourself. And you can share about yourself in order to connect with people as well. So I hope that makes sense. So what I'm going to share a little bit about in this episode is why your personal stories are your most powerful tool, the kinds of stories that resonate the most with your ideal audience, how to choose which stories to share and what to keep private, a simple framework to uncover your signature visibility stories, how to use storytelling in content and speaking and media and more, and also some real examples from my visibility journey. So obviously I've just shared one, and I'll share a couple more with you as they arise throughout this podcast ep. So hopefully this will support you. So the first thing is, why do stories matter? So stories really, really matter, particularly if you're building a personal brand-based business, because it helps to connect with your audience and for your audience to understand who you are as a person and how they can support you and whether or not they want to work with you. So people work with other people that they connect with. They work with people whose energy they resonate with, right? And so it's so important, I think, to be able to attract your ideal client through who you are as a unique person and through your unique experiences and stories, as well as the skills that you offer. And particularly in today's world where there is a lot of competition, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people who can do certain professional services. And so I think it is really important to be able to build those relationships. And when you're building a personal brand, you're amplifying the relationships that you build one-on-one in person. So you're amplifying that through your online presence, through your presence on stage, through your presence in teaching and in showing up in front of others. And so it's really important to showcase who you are, mainly just so that people can connect and see whether or not they want to work with you, because you're not going to be for everyone, and nor should you be. Right? So the people that really connect with you and your message and your story, they're the people that you want to be talking to, and they're the people that you're wanting to attract. So the power of visibility is really as well through your unique lived experience. So if you're just, jumping online and sharing about your topic of expertise and sharing how to and that kind of thing, that's cool. And I feel like that is useful, absolutely useful. And we should always be infusing education and teaching in our content so that we can support others using the services that we offer. In my case, it's that PR, visibility, personal branding. But at the same time, it is, like I said, it's about that connection on a personal, on a deeper level, and being able to expand on what you can create in a one-on-one scenario. Because in order to build an audience, you do need to build people, a community of people that will connect with you. And it doesn't need to be a big community. Like if you're growing a business, you don't need 1 million clients necessarily. Often we only need a smallish group of people that really connect with us. And so that's what we're wanting to talk to in our content, is a small group of people that could potentially be our clients or that we can potentially support, so that they can really connect with us. And one of the ways that we can do that is through infusing our unique lived experience. So I have the experience of the 12 years in corporate. I have the experience now of 6 years in business. I've got the experience of building the visibility and personal brand for both, as well as all the challenges that come along with the visibility. It certainly didn't come naturally to me. I have always found putting myself out there at each new level incredibly challenging. And so I feel like from that perspective, I can really connect and resonate with people that find it challenging too, that might want to do the things that I'm doing and build the business or a similar business that I've created, but maybe they don't feel like they have what it takes. And I want to show you that you do have what it takes, that you can overcome the obstacles, that you can overcome the challenges, and you can do the work and get the result. So 3 of the types of stories that you can use in your visibility strategy are, firstly, origin stories. So this is why you do what you do. Why do you do the work that you do? And I think I just shared a little bit about mine. I love to support other people that are wanting to put their work out into the world and grow beautiful businesses or careers that they love, that they can, that gives them the lifestyle and the life that they really want and enables them to fulfill their potential. But they're having to come up against this challenge around visibility and around putting themselves out there, which is absolutely imperative to doing anything big in the world. And so me having gone through that challenge and having come out the other side of that challenge, I feel like that's where I'm really well placed to support others. And that's where I love supporting others as well to achieve success. So the second type of story is the transformation story. So how you or how your clients are overcoming challenges. And a lot of the way that I support my clients to overcome the visibility challenges is through developing the confidently visible mindset. And then all of the tools that I teach around that. So if you've been listening to my content or watching my content, or if you're on my email list, you'll know that I share quite often some tools around supporting your visibility and around supporting your mindset so that you can continue to show up and consistently put your work out there. Values-based stories are the third types of stories that you can use in your visibility strategy. So this is what you stand for and what you believe in. And so I believe that everyone is creative, and I believe that we can all tap into our creativity in our careers or businesses in some way, shape, or form so that we can bring those to life. Because if you are creating anything out of nothing, that is creativity in its highest form. And so it doesn't matter what type of thing you're creating, that makes you creative. Okay, so building something out of nothing means that you are creative. All right, so let's talk a little bit about navigating the vulnerability around building a personal brand. So, what should you share and what should you keep sacred? And I touched on this before earlier in the episode, but I feel like we're really needing to share from the scars, not the wounds. And also not sharing derogatory comments about other people. I always try and uplift people through my comments and what I share, rather than pulling people down, because otherwise it's just going to be a reflection of yourself, right? And you don't want to put bad juju out into the world. Like, you want to get good vibes back. So if you're putting good vibes out into the world, then you're going to get some good vibes back. So kind of, coming from that place where the stories that you're sharing are all productive and constructive and in some way support other people and don't tear people down at the same time. Okay, now let's talk about bringing your story into your brand touch points. So there's so many different touch points that we have around visibility, and that could be doing a presentation or speaking on stage or hosting a workshop. It could be doing podcast interviews or hosting your own podcast. It could be writing a book. It could be sharing content on social media. It could be doing media and getting some media coverage. So there's so many different touch points to sharing our stories. And I think if you've ever seen a really good keynote, it will start with a story about the presenter where they share so that they can automatically feel like you can relate to them as an audience. So I recently saw, I think it was like a money mindset mentor speak on stage, and she spoke about how she was, broke and struggling with money, as she then proceeded to share like why she now loves supporting other women to get rich. And I thought that's a really beautiful example of storytelling in content, because it provides background about her and why she's so passionate about helping other people, but it automatically enabled the audience to connect and go, yeah, you're just like me. You're just like me. And maybe I could do what you are doing as well. Maybe I could get rich like you're getting rich, And so it was that really kind of beautiful way of illustrating what is otherwise a pretty boring and serious topic, of finances and budgeting and all of that kind of stuff. And so you can see how just infusing your personal stories and illustrating your points with stories is going to help your audience to connect with you, as well as see what's possible for them as well. And you can use your stories across all channels. So obviously social media, we have limited kind of space to be able to share long form content, but you can share snippets and you can promote other longer forms of content via social media as well. Okay. So some of my personal reflections on sharing stories. So like I said, I did share my story about my medical PTSD and anxiety and how that impacted my ability to be able to show up and be visible, simply because I just didn't want to at the time. But I still was able to show up in various different ways that didn't always require me putting face to camera or, speaking or going to events, because I wasn't really able to go to that many events and speak at events or anything like that. And so I did things that would enable me to still continue to show up and build my business and put myself out there without burning me out, without exhausting me, without overstepping boundaries. And so I found that balance of, well, if anything's ever really a balance, I think the balance is always trying to be found, but I found, a way to be able to just continue to show up and put myself out there by doing things like batching content on days that I felt better, as well as I guess, compartmentalizing. And so I kind of separated my business from myself a little bit and was just able to continue to press on with the things that I needed to do. Maybe not achieving every single thing that I wanted to achieve that year or those years, but certainly still continuing to put myself out there and to move forward regardless of those challenges around visibility. And I think that we're all always going through something, right? Like, we're humans, we live on planet Earth, hopefully most of us. And I think, we're all going through many different things at any one time. And I think it's not about waiting for a time when you don't have any challenges or you don't have any problems to be able to increase your visibility. And it's not about waiting to have all the skills as well, because you get the skills and you increase the skills and you work the muscle as you put yourself out there, as you grow, as you start to say yes to opportunities, as you do the live stream, as you do the podcast interview, as you do all of the things, that's when you get the skills to put yourself out there more and more and more. So you don't need to wait. Now is the time. I really hope this has supported you, and I hope that I've given you a little bit more permission to share stories, as well as, a little bit of context around what I feel is a good way to share stories and what I feel should be avoided a little bit. So I really hope this has supported you, and I'd love to know if this has resonated with you in some way and how you feel about sharing stories in your content. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have the best day. Thank you for tuning in to Confidently Visible. I hope today's conversation inspired you to show up boldly, to share your unique gifts with courage, and to move through the visibility blocks that are holding you back. If you loved this episode, make sure that you're subscribed to the podcast, leave a rating and a review, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this. And if you're ready to become confidently visible in your business, head over to becksands.com to join my email list and to connect on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Until next time, keep showing up as the amazing, unique you that the world needs.